Something's got a hold on me lately. No, I don't know myself anymore. Feels like the walls are all closing in, and the devil's knocking at my door. Whoa, out of my mind. How many times did I tell you I'm no good at being alone? Yeah, it's taking a toll on me. Trying my best to keep from tearing the skin off my bones. Don't you know I lose control when you're not next to me? I'm falling apart right in front of you. Can't you see? I lose control when you're not next to me. Yeah, you're breaking my heart, baby. You make a mess of me. Problematic. Problem is I want your body like a fiend, like a bad habit. Bad habits hard to break when I'm with you. Yeah, I know I can do it on my own, but I want that real full moon, black magic, and it takes two. Problematic. Problem is when I'm with you, I'm an addict, and I need some relief. My skin and your teeth, can't see the forest through the trees. Got me down on my knees, darling, please. Oh, I lose control when you're outside a picket fence. I told you we could run away from common sense. Doesn't matter where it starts or where it ends. Just take my hand, take my hand. Wanna waste all my seconds away, getting lost in a beautiful place. Open fields when I look at your face, till forever fades. A little bit of heaven on the weekend, ocean full of sequins, curls in the wind like a little bit of sun out when it's freezing. I don't need a reason, tell me what you wanna do. I like the way I feel with you. Said I like the way I feel with you. I like the way I feel, and I don't know much, but I like the way I feel with you. I want you all over me, set fire to chemistry, belting on a leather seat, it's paradise. So don't you let go of me, my pain, my remedy. No place that I'd rather be than in your mind. Wanna waste all my seconds away, getting lost in a beautiful place. Open fields when I look at your face, till forever fades. A little bit of heaven on the weekend, ocean full of sequins, curls in the wind like a little bit of sun out when it's freezing. I don't need a reason, tell me what you wanna do. I like the way I feel with you. Said I like the way I feel with you. I like the way I feel, and I don't know much, but I like the way I feel with you. And I don't know much, but I like the way I feel. Sometimes I'm slow to tell you it's no one else's fault but mine. If you don't know by the way I hold you, my heart's been yours this whole time. Oh, I hope I show it, just in case you need to know. I fall in love with you a little bit more, little bit, little bit, little bit more. Every time I think I've lost my way, I fall in love with you a little bit more, little bit more than before. Even on the days I'm not so sure, I fall in love with you a little bit more. Thought I knew every little thing about you. There's always more of you to learn. You try your best to show your worst, baby, you can rest assured I'll always be here for you, always be here for you. Oh, I hope I show it, just in case you need to know. I fall in love with you a little bit more, little bit, little bit, little bit more. Every time I think I've lost my way, I fall in love with you a little bit more, little bit more than before. Even on the days I'm not so sure, I fall in love with you a little bit more. Can't explain it, and I don't know what to call it. All I know is I keep falling. I fall in love with you a little bit more, little bit, little bit, little bit more. Every time I think I've lost my way, I fall in love with you a little bit more, little bit more than before. Even on the days I'm not so sure. placer darles la bienvenida a Madrid para la Liga Europea de la Copa del Mundo de Doma de la Federación Ecuestre Internacional. 4 ligas componen estas series y dan a jinetes de todo el mundo la oportunidad de clasificarse para la final en Basilea del año 2025, el mes de abril. Esta es una de las series más prestigiosas del calendario internacional de Doma y la de Madrid es la 4ª prueba calificativa de la Liga Europea, otra oportunidad para intentar abrir las puertas a los jinetes de esa final. La Federación Ecuestre Internacional desea a todos los participantes la mejor de las suertes.
It is our pleasure to welcome you to Madrid for the FEI Dressage World Cup Western European League. 4 leagues make the series truly global and provide athletes from around the world with an opportunity to qualify for the final, which will be taking place in Basel in April of 2025. As one of the most prestigious series in the international dressage calendar, it is with great anticipation that we watch this season's qualifiers unfold and reveal for whom the doors to the final.
Well, good morning all, and a very, very warm welcome to Madrid Horse Week. Welcome along to FEI TV and to the FEI Dressage World Cup. Already made stops in Denmark, France and Germany, across Herning, Lyon and Stuttgart. We now are set for round number 4. Very much looking forward to the next couple of days, and delighted to be able to join you to watch this sport, which will see a wonderful lineup of combinations from Germany, of course Austria, France, Brazil, Uruguay and Luxembourg, alongside a very strong home lineup as well from Spain, all competing for those points in the freestyle tomorrow to go towards the points table on the Western European League, with the riders looking to qualify for the final in April in Basel. Well, we have a total of 11 coming down the centre line in the Grand Prix test. The Grand Prix test, of course, will set things up rather nicely for the freestyle tomorrow. There is your lineup. Exciting to see Carina Scholz there at number 8 with Tarantino 5, of course, equal first on the Western European League. But a wonderful lineup. The likes of the great Beatriz Ferrer-Salat from Spain. We've got Pauline Basquin, of course, that beautiful Senator Darima Ice Z, which has had such a tremendous year for France, and Fie Christine Skarsoe for Luxembourg. And as I say, that's that wonderful mix of Spanish riders in there. We've got Austria, Brazil, and kicking things off, a championship rider and a horse combination from Uruguay as well. So lots to look forward to as they all look to set themselves in good stead going into that freestyle here tomorrow. The freestyle, the music when the points are awarded. And a fabulous chance for the likes of Carina to perhaps push herself obviously even further towards the top of the league. We will, of course, they see 4 of their results count across the season towards their points total. You have the 11 stages of the Western European League, but there are additional rounds over the course of the earlier part of the year where they can pick up some points in other leagues too. But right now, let's concentrate on Madrid. Madrid Horse Week is such a integral part of the sport here. It's a big blue ribbon event in Spain, and over these coming days we may have a slightly sparser crowd at the moment. I can assure you there will not be a spare seat for the freestyle tomorrow. It will be rammed, and with the jumping alongside it, of course. This is a double header for the FEI World Cup season, with the Longines FEI Jumping World Cup also taking place here in Madrid as well. So we're ready to get things underway, and as you can see, there's the first. The judges, let's just take you through who's with us. At E, Mariano Santos Redondo for Spain. At H for Germany is Elke Elbert. President for the class. At C, Austria's Elisabeth Maxtiner. At M, also from Spain, is Juan Carlos Campos Escabrano. And at B for the Netherlands is Martin van der Heijden. So they bring their huge levels of judging experience to bear. The first to go rides for Uruguay, and this is Dara de Sobral, ridden by Jose Ramon Becca Borrego, 16-year-old stallion. Licitana Stallion by Evresio. Combination that together rode in Santiago at those Pan Am Games in 2023. More recently, their last international outing came in Jerez de la Frontera back in the springtime of this year. But this is a step up for this combination, horse and rider together, competing for the first time at 5-star level. Has a best score in Grand Prix of 66.652%. And that is also pretty much their average score as well. Just needs to bring a little bit more energy in the early part of this test. Allow that frame to sort of open up. You can see it's all just a little bit restricted at the moment. Again through the half pass, just losing that energy. You just would like to see a little bit more regularity in the trot work. Lifting the head a little bit there and just showing a little bit of resistance in the rein back. Just going against the bit. Again, you can just see how the horse comes back against the hand and just really showing a lot of tension. It's a huge environment that they've come into today. Stepping up, obviously, into this level of competition in the indoor. All the lights and music. Just working hard, just most importantly you can see just doing everything to reassure the horse, keep it calm, make sure he stays nice and happy in what he's doing. He's still got his ears pricked forward, he's keeping a close watch on things going on around him. Just trying to take it all in. You can see the horse is very capable with all the movements that we've watched so far, but all of the movements have been affected by that tension, by the nerves. And I'm sure the rider will be thinking what I'm thinking at the moment, which is, you know, this is, whatever the score is today, this is just a tremendous opportunity to give the horse this experience and allow him the opportunity to come in, see the bright lights, big indoor competition environment, and actually, if he does come back in the freestyle tomorrow, it won't be quite the same surprise as walking through that curtain as it was this morning. And you can see how Jose is just staying very, very quiet, sitting as gently as he can, just being very gentle with the aids. I had a feeling it might settle a little bit now we've got into the counter work. A little mistake on the first change, but again, it's that shortness. It's all about giving horses the opportunity to improve from experience, and as difficult as I say that was today, and we all saw sorry, how that unfolded. But it is a combination that have competed at championship, is a hugely experienced rider. And I feel that what Jose's been doing there is just all the way throughout the course of the test, trying to make sure that he gave the horse enough reassurance, enough encouragement. A horse very capable of doing all the movements. We've seen that in previous tests in their time together. But as I say, such a different environment. And I think just the nerves coming in today just getting the better of them a little bit. So I think, you know, hopefully that'll reap a reward in terms of going forward, perhaps into the freestyle tomorrow. Well, inevitably, we're going to wait for the scores. As you can see there, we already have another ready to rock in a moment. I don't think we're going to be waiting too long for the scores. We'll get them up on the screen just as soon as they come in, but I think, in fact, I've got the scores. Here they come. There's your marks across your judges. 50.717 is the final score. Now we can move on to this combination, as it is the turn of Brazil. Welcoming Randerson Silva de Oliveira, a combination representing Brazil here today. And this horse, 14-year-old Lusitana stallion. Good to see these Lusitanas at the top end of the sport. It is Barico, Raja Mare. This is a horse that's got plenty of experience. Again, they rode together in Santiago, part of the Brazilian lineup at those Pan Am Games last year, where they actually finished in 5th place individually. And as I say, went on also as part of the Brazilian team to take that team silver medal. They had a very successful championships. Former ride of Rodrigo Torres, Rodrigo, the Portuguese rider, who rode this horse at the Olympics in Tokyo in 2021. Also rode this horse at the World Cup final in Leipzig in 2022. So the horse with a lot of experience at the top end. And I mean, in Grand Prix tests, Rodrigo he has scored as high as 73 with this horse in the past, but obviously different rider, and a rider who is most recently been competing in Espienda, where they scored 67.630. That came in the 3-star just a few weeks back, and that was their first outing of this year, first outing since the Pan Am Games. They've been very capable of scoring together around that 69% mark. And so far in this test, as you can see, looking a lot more relaxed and just travelling a little bit in the Piaffe. Just still like to see a little bit more extension, a little bit more over track perhaps in that extended walk, just to allow the frame a little bit more openness to cover the ground. And stay a little bit more connected to keep that collection in the collected walk. Such a difficult transition, as I always say. I feel that's perhaps the hardest transition of their Grand Prix test. A nice stove. Certainly has a lovely Piaffe. Maybe just a little bit in terms of travelling a little bit forward, but solid through the first line of changes. We'd just like to see a little bit more, again, extension, perhaps just take that risk factor up slightly, allow the horse just to, again, open the frame. Again, for these two, as experienced as this horse is at the top level, Randerson here is making his World Cup debut. And he's doing a very good job at the moment, keeping everything nice and calm, nice and relaxed. Maybe wanted to be a little bit more through behind. One of those just slightly short. You can be pleased as well, very much keeping in line at the moment, that current running score towards their average. Maybe just wants a little bit more engagement, a little bit more underneath from the hind leg in that final passage. You can see the smile, and it's going to be well deserved. I think he's done a tremendous job. Well done, Randerson Silva, Olivia, and Fergosa Campilin. Building together a tremendous relationship, those two. And what a debut for the two of them on the Western European League. I mean, as a test throughout, sort of think back through, but there was nothing in there that you could say was like, well, they got that wrong, or there was a mistake. It wasn't, you know, there were some really solid moments as well. Really, I mean, as a combination, I think the Piaf so well established, of course, for that horse, and the Passage, and you know, some lovely moments in the changes where they were wonderfully straight. So I feel today very much pushing towards the top end of an average score, where they've been consistently able to score that 69% in recent times in Grand Prix competitions. So it's a combination that don't have a huge number of outings behind them, but today they've done a first-class job from their side. And Fergosa Campilin, Randerson Silva de Oliveira, there's your lineup of scores, and delivering a total of 69.304 to set the standard really here. I'm sure they'll be delighted to have been able, you know, very, very close, the two of them together, knocking on the door of a Grand Prix 70% score. And I mean, they have done it in the past, a few years ago, but you know, to be doing that in your first 5-star, I think very well done to the two of them. So we move our attention to the next to go, but also to the first for Spain, and the home riders nevertheless have a tremendous heritage in this sport. Spain, who have had plenty of success over the years, and this is a rider himself with a lot of experience and a lot of time spent in the world of dressage. It is Alejandro Asencio Jimenez, riding straight horse Cesarion, the 11-year-old stallion by Suzanne, and the blue horse Romanov mare. This Danish warm blood stallion getting underway. of a combination of been coming through the sport. It's a horse that he's produced, as I say, it's 11 years of age now. But this is a horse he's been riding since the young horse classes. They started at Grand Prix back in the springtime of this year. They've already managed to, in their first season of Grand Prix, pick up a personal best of 71.326%. Losing a little bit of the rhythm slightly in the rein back. Some lovely paces though. Really able to show them well through the extended trot, nice and elastic. Again, using those paces to demonstrate very nicely through the passage. Certainly solid in the Piaffe, and it was a good transition. You can see they're just losing a little bit of the rhythm in the transition. Settled rather nicely into the counter work, and just wanted to be a little bit straighter with the two-time changes. to stay nice and relaxed even in the changes. You saw them just again trying to be a bit more precise when they were coming on the zigzag line. But mistake 3 through the one-time tempi changes. Wants this pirouette just maybe to be a little bit smaller than the initial one to the left. Just allow the horse just to sit back a bit more. Just that one they wanted the horse, I think, just to allow a little bit more rhythm. They just lost the balance a little bit behind. And lovely work in the Passage and the Piaffe as well. I mean, that really exemplifies the quality of the pace in that horse and rider combination. Straight horse Serazion and Alejandro Asencio there finishing things off. And it would have been not too far from their personal best, I wouldn't have thought as well. I mean, that would have been 71.348. And I mean, the only real point of error, I think if that's the way we can put it, was just between the extended walk and the collected walk. We had that moment where things just got a little bit tense. But outside of that, I think it was, as I say, it's a horse with a huge amount of talent, and it's got such lovely moves to the way that it goes about its paces, and that really comes to bear in the Passage. I think the Piaffe is good as well, but the Passage is particularly strong. Well, there's your scores, and it is 70.413 when you combine them all, but look at that, as high as a 74 from the judge at E, through to a 67 for the judge sat opposite them at B. It really does show how you look across from one side to the other can make things look a little bit different, but nevertheless a solid set of marks. And of course putting them into the lead, the first to push through the 70% barrier, but it is early stages of this FEI Dressage World Cup Grand Prix test here in Madrid. Well, we move our attention now to one of the great names in Spanish dressage over the years. This is a lady that has certainly shown her quality, well, for decades now, as a consistent part of championships and Olympic Games over the years. Of course, this is the turn of Spain's Beatriz Ferrer-Salat, riding today with elegance. That wonderful horse called Beauvalet that took the silver medal in the Athens Olympic Games, part of that bronze medal winning team for the Spanish at that Olympic Games. I mean, she's been a big part of everything. She made her debut in terms of championships. You'd have to go all the way back to 1995, and then pretty much has been such a, well, with Fabergé, then Delago, more recently with Elegance. This is the horse she rode in Tokyo. Also rode at the Europeans in Hagen in 2021. elegance, as I mentioned, now 15. The Dutch warm blood by Negro is out of a Monaco mare. Their average score in a Grand Prix test is 70.7. Their highest score in a Grand Prix test, which came a few years ago, but was 75.13%. A little bit rushed in the rein back, but nice transition forward. Again, just like to see a little bit more risk in opening up of the frame through the extended trot. I'd like to have just seen a little bit more ground covered through the extended walk. And you can see there just the rhythm. And you get that sort of marching moment where the horse is almost jogging, trying to go into a trot. In the collected walk, again, just will have a very notable impact on the score, and again that has the effect on that transition mark as well, coming out into the passage. That's quite an expensive 3 movements in a row there, especially with the double coefficients on the walk. Let's just let that tension loose. Happier now, again relaxing a little bit more into the canter work. Very consistent in the canter. It's got that lovely, they've got the rhythm that obviously very established and comfortable in. Very well positioned through the changes. Just again, I see a little bit more energy. It was very correct in terms of the positioning, but maybe wanted a bit more bend as well in that pirouette. She sits so remarkably quietly in the saddle. It's a, real treat to watch her ride. Barely see any movement in her legs, and so subtle with the aids. It's a little bit tense into that extended trot. I'd like to see a little bit more ground cover. Allow the horse again just to open the frame up. Show that extended movement for what it is. Nice solid centre line as well, where the Piaffe and Passage will have certainly pushed their score up as they come to their conclusion. Certainly one of the greats of Spanish dressage, Beatriz Ferrer-Salat there with the beautiful elegance. Where that puts them in terms of the scores, we'll have to wait and see, because there will inevitably have been that slight setback for the scores around the moment of the walk and the transition coming out of the walk as well. Both the extended walk and the collected walk will have been affected. So I should, looking at the way the score was going, still go over 70%, but I feel what perhaps may well have turned in, could have well been a leading test at this moment, I think will have just lost a couple of marks in there that will have cost them the lead. And it is into second, as you're hearing there, and seeing there all in one, and a set of marks that bring together a total percentage score of 70.087 to go into second place. And as I say, it's a lovely test, and I mean they make such a really strong partnership. I think the pitch and the way that Beatriz can sit so still and so effective in her aids, and it makes it really elegant to watch. And just that little bit of tension today in the walk is ultimately what's cost them maybe as much as 1 or 2 percentage marks. Well, we're going to move our attention now to our next, because this is Austria next up, and Diana Porsche riding Douglas, this 16-year-old. Is by Johnson T.N., Dutch warm blood, out of a Tyrold mare. He ranked in the world's top 70. Of course, was very successful with this horse when she was still riding in the youth ranks. And Diana, who's 28 years of age now, there you have it. Of course, was very competitive in those under 25 classes as she came through. She did go to the Senior Europeans in Hagen in 2021. This is a combination at Grand Prix that have an average of 67.7. But they have scored a personal best of 71.026. Let's see just a little bit more bend in the half pass. Leading a little bit with the shoulder. Looking to try and keep the horse as straight as possible and allow that bend through the body, showing the suppleness. See a little bit more elevation, a little bit more precision in the steps in the Piaf, and just getting a little bit tense through the transition of the Passage Piaf Passage. Better in the collected walk, I feel, than the extended, where it was just needed to allow the horse to stretch a bit more. It was slightly marching. And just a bit of tension creeping in, which again has an effect on the rhythm, the importance of the rhythm, that regularity of the pace then gets affected in the Piaf. Very much in line with their average scores at the moment. On that running total coming down to finish things off. Well done, Diana Porsche and Douglas are riding there for Austria. Shame for the little mistake that came about in the one-time changes. Outside of that, I think it was mistake-free, relatively speaking, throughout the course of the test. I think overall, really nice test from that combination. riding there for Austria, bringing, it is those mistakes inevitably that are going to cost you when it comes to your marks, and we've been hoping for a little bit more, I think, than the score they're going to get. But there was a lot to enjoy, a lot to like there, and certainly a combination that have got some quality to show in the trot work and the canter work alongside the Piaf and the Passage. So the halt, I think, as well, if we go back in my brain to that part of the test, right back towards the start, they just lost the rhythm and the fluency as well in that rain back. Waiting for the scores. As I can see, our next is waiting to get going. Here it is. A combined percentage score of 67.783% for Diana, Porsche and Douglas to go into 4th place as things currently stand in this Grand Prix test here in Madrid. Well, that means we move on in this FEI Dressage Grand Prix to our next. And with Spain once more, Claudio Castilla goes next. Riding here with Lario de Adama de Sousa, 13-year-old Hanoverian stallion by Loxley. Claudio is another rider with a lot of experience in this sport, having ridden at major championships over the years, including the Olympics in Paris this year when he rode Jairico de Sobral. He's ridden at World Championships. That, of course, wasn't his first Olympics either, having ridden Alquiri in Rio de Janeiro. He's played such a role for Spain over the years. Combination together have an average at Grand Prix of 68.5. They have scored over 70%. Their best score combined, best score together, came in Compiègne last year, where they scored 70.956 in a Grand Prix test. Looking a little bit better now into the extended trot. They are lacking a little bit of quality and regularity in the trot work and the rhythm through those half passes early on. Again, just the rhythm just going away from them, that energy just sort of sapping out slightly between the Passage and the Piaf. Almost go as far as to say it's one of the best extended walks we've seen of the day, and perhaps could be yet a little bit more collected, but I think combined showing perhaps the best of the walking movements so far of the 6 we've seen. They just lose that energy, lose that rhythm going from Passage into Piaf. It's as if the activity of the trot work, the Piaf and the Passage work, it just sort of goes away for a moment in the transition. established in the canter work. Just losing their balance slightly coming out of the pirouette. And again there, sadly, with the pirouette to the right. There was that moment there, they've just changed behind. There was a best example to say is perhaps a little bit of trotting behind. Again, just that moment where the energy just saps away from them going into the Piaf. It's all about creating as much energy as possible and then let that activity be contained with the collection. Well done, Claudio Castilla and Rio de Adama Sasusa. There's the partnership there for Spain, the sixth forward, and the combination that in fact take us into the break here in this FEI Dressage World Cup Grand Prix test, the precursor to the World Cup class that will take place here tomorrow with the freestyle, where the points will be given out. And still with 5 very strong combinations to come after the break. I'd be surprised if the order doesn't change quite significantly. We will wait to see, though, where that score lands for Claudio Castilla in a moment as we await the judges' marks. It's certainly been an enjoyable start. 65.935 is the combined total percentage score to put them into 5th place. So Claudio Castilla there going into the top 5. So the leading score at the break at the halfway mark with 6 gone and 5 to go is 70.413. And there you have it up on your screen now. Alejandro Asencio Mendez for Spain, straight horse Cerezian leading the way. 70.087 for Beatriz Ferrer-Salat and Elegance, and Randerson Silva de Oliveira and Fagreso Campeline holding on to 3rd. We're going to take a 10-minute break and then we're going to come back with the final 5 in this Grand Prix test here on FEI TV. We go down the centre line at 4 minutes past the hour. As you can see, the start list still holding some wonderful combinations to come forward in this class, the FEI Dressage World Cup here in Madrid, the Grand Prix test ahead of the freestyle tomorrow. Well, still to come, we have 2 for Spain, we have 1 for Germany, 1 for Luxembourg, and 1 for France. Included in that is the current joint leader of the Western European League. Of course, this is the 4th leg of the season, and very much enjoying what we've seen so far with Alejandro Asencio and straight horse Cersarion leading the way on a score of 70.413%. So that is the best of the scores. Spain in front at the moment. Will that be the case at the end? We will wait to see, but excited to see how these next 5 get on in front of our panel of judges. To remind you, we have at E, Mariano Santos Redondo from Spain, joined at H by Elke Elbert from Germany. At C, Elizabeth Max-Thinner from Austria, the president of the class. At M, Juan Carlos Campos Escabrebano for Spain, and at B is Martin van der Heijden for the Netherlands. Well, here we go, ready to kick things off. It's the first of the 2 for Spain in the final 5, and again, a rider who has got plenty of experience over the years, from World Championships to Olympic Games, having ridden in the likes of Sydney and in Athens back in 2000 and 2004. Also rode as an individual at this year's Paris Olympic Games with a Claudismois. Today, though, riding Quarter, this 10-year-old stallion by Kortensprung out of a Lorentino mare.
With the 10-year-old Quarter, it's Spain's Juan Jimenez.
So here we go. Best of luck to this stallion, Hanoverian stallion, 10 years of age. This is a combination together. They score an average of 69.2% in Grand Prix tests. But their highest score in a Grand Prix test came last year in Emielo, where they scored 70.87. Nice and fluent through the 2 half passes. Really nice start to this test. Maybe again a little bit more stretching in the extended walk, but again showing quality across both the trot and the walk paces so far. Just a little bit of a break in the rhythm, but maybe just wanted to be a bit more direct and sort of prompt into that passage originally. I suspect that will have had a little bit of an impact with the transition mark as well, because of that slight loss of balance. Really nice through those two-time changes. Of course, you have the 9 flying changes every second stride. There's a lot of fluency to the way that this horse is able to go about the counterwork as well. Really nice to see. Certainly again through the zigzag line down the centre line, very fluent through the movements with the half passes and the changes, and again here in the now one-time changes. Just a little mistake towards the end. Again, very nice, very even throughout their paces here in the final stages of this test. I mean, they have a personal best of 70.870. By the time the final marks come in, that could certainly knock on the door of that score. Whether it's enough to just push them to the top of the leaderboard, we'll find out in a moment, but I really enjoyed watching those two competing together. A lovely performance with Qatar there for Juan Antonio Jimenez Corbo. I mean, you think back through that test, there was nothing in there that you could really say was a mistake. You just had that, maybe that little moment in the transition of the passage to the Piaf when they come after the walk. You're looking at small details, and don't get me wrong, the small details in this sport make quite big differences towards scores, but small details is something you can work on. And it was such an elegant combination, gave such a fluent test, and we'll see where that score eventually falls into place. And hopefully not too far away from finding that out. Into the final 4 to go. There'll be a lot of focus on this next combination as we are in a moment getting set for the current joint leader of the Western European League. Meanwhile, here's the score, and it is into second. It is a combined total percentage score of 70.413 for Juan Antonio Jimenez Corbo and Quartar. So that is Spain going second, and at the moment, therefore, Spanish riders sitting in 1, 2, and 3 in this class. Still the leading score, 70.413. Like I say, there's going to be a lot of interest over the course of the next day or two, especially with the freestyle tomorrow, to how these two perform. Tarantino 5 is this tremendously experienced gelding. Carina Scholz, of course, herself bringing a exceedingly high level to the arena. The 2-year-old from Germany who has played a brilliant role in this season so far. With this horse, she has a personal best in Grand Prix competitions of 74.305%. They still have a strong average as well of over 71.6% at Grand Prix test level. They were in Stuttgart, as they were in Herning this season already on the Western European League. On both occasions in the Grand Prix, they scored 71%, 71.8 and 71.3 in Herning and Stuttgart, respectively. And they ended up finishing 5th and 6th in the relevant freestyles. And you can see already they've had a nice start to this test with a lovely direct transition into that original halt, and now just need to keep that cadence and that bend through the half passes. Very well done through the Piaf. Good transition as well. Very smooth throughout the Passage Piaf Passage. I think maybe with the Passage, just especially towards the end, they just lost that activity a little bit. Be consistent through that Passage and Piaf, and again able to really carry a lot of fluency through the transitional phase. It's important to remember with the transitional phase in the Grand Prix test, of course, you have that individual mark on each occasion. So you have a Passage, a Piaf and a Passage mark, but you also have the transition mark. extended cant, we'd like to see just again opening that frame, really opening up over their back. Need to keep that relaxation, don't allow the tension to start creeping in. Very nicely done, very precise through those half passes, the flying changes. Maybe just a little bit short behind in terms of the one-time tempi changes. A nice pirouette. Just needs to keep the balance coming out. Certainly better to the right. It improved over what we saw with the first pirouette to the left. Again, showing plenty of quality through the final line of Piaf to the passage. No question in the current mind of the judges with that score that this is heading into the lead, and no question from what we've watched, bringing a real quality to the Grand Prix test and a tremendous level of consistency. I mean, there was nothing in there that you think, wow, there was a mistake there. There wasn't. It was just what was required. Really smooth throughout all of the paces, and a test to enjoy. Again, there's always going to be the small things that will inevitably have a knock-on effect to your mark. And, you know, the differences, I guess, between 7.5s and 8s, and, you know, being able to push on any higher. But I think they'll be delighted as 72.870 is their score. 72.870 is a very strong score, and certainly well above the combination's average mark. So, you know, it had what we were looking for: harmony, accuracy in terms of the movements. Presented it really, really well. And yeah, congratulations. When you execute a test as well as that, you're hoping for a score as good as that. And Carina Scholz, Tarantino 5, certainly marking themselves down, as we would have all expected, as one of the favourites going into the freestyle tomorrow. But we are not done. They do, though, now lead. Germany moved to the top of the board in this Grand Prix test. We're live with you here on FEI TV, bringing you coverage from Madrid of the FEI Dressage World Cup, the Grand Prix test today. And it is the turn now for Luxembourg, as we turn our attention to Fie Christine Skarsoe, who rides here with this Lusitano stallion. This is Emperador dos Cedros, the 11-year-old stallion by Ruby. Lovely Lusitano stallion. We've seen some nice Lusitanos here today. Horse that she rode at the European Championships and the World Championships in 2023 and 2022. Of course, a rider again with a lot of experience over the years competing in this sport. This, as I mentioned, is by Ruby, a combination that have a average score in Grand Prix is a 70.2. Their best in a Grand Prix came last year in Sint-Truiden, where they scored 72.043%. Their last outing came in Donaueschlangen, where they won the Grand Prix test in that 4-star on a score of 70.087. Again, a very confident start to this test. Again, just want to see a little bit more risk, a little bit more extension and lengthening through the extended trot. It's about creating that power from the engine behind you. They're just travelling a little bit forward in the Piaffe, but again, very smooth through the transitional phase. I'm sure the judges will have wanted to see a little bit more lengthening in that extended walk and perhaps a bit more collection in the collected walk, but overall still showing that they have a good quality of walk. Really able to perform in the Piaffe, and again showing very fluent transitions between those paces. I think, in fact, you look all around and say that second element of the Piaffe and Passage has improved over what we saw with the first one. Maybe a little bit hurried in places through the one-time changes. which just inevitably means you get a little bit short. The horse just to show a little bit more lift in front through the pirouette, although keeping it to the right size. You just want the horse to be able to sit back and take the weight a little bit more behind and bring the front end up more in that canter pirouette. Just need to keep the energy in these final paces in that passage, and then the Piaf correct in their abilities, but we need to show them at their best. Try and help push that mark a little bit higher, but there we go, a very happy combination. Well done to Fie Christine Skarsoe there from Luxembourg. Imprador des Cedros giving a very consummate performance in the Grand Prix test. I think the only part of that test I think that will really count against them, like it was the one-time tempo changes, perhaps a little bit hurried. More, I think they'll have lost marks in the pirouettes, with the pirouette on both occasions just needing the horse just to sit back and take the weight a little bit more, because those are double collectives or double coefficients. But again, I mean, it was such a nice clear test, and the combination have got a lot of elegance in the way that they're able to perform, you know, very correct in what they were doing as well. So look, there's no outstanding errors wherever that does fall in. It'll be interesting to see, just waiting for those final scores to come through from the judges, and we didn't wait long, did we? There we have it, a combined total percentage score of 70.609 to go into second place for Fie, and that means it is now Germany, Luxembourg, Spain, the 1, 2, 3. Zimprador des Cedros there, 70.609, going into second place. Carina Scholz leads on Tarantino 5 for Germany, 72.870. We only have a couple more, though, left to go. One for Spain and then one for France. It is Jose Antonio Garcia Mina, though, who is the last of the Spanish riders to go. A Gladiator de Louis, another Lusitana stallion. This 13-year-old is by the sire Peralata Pina out of a Spartacus mare. It's a combination that have a average score in Grand Prix of 75.7%, but have scored as high. Sorry, I was reading the freestyle line when I read that. It was that's for my notes for tomorrow. The Grand Prix line said 71.2% in the Grand Prix test as an average, 71.2. But they have scored as high as 72.587%. Last competing in August of this year. That was in Madrid, where they did score 70.783. I mean, that score today, if repeated, could get them as high as second place at the moment. We'll have to wait and see. They, of course, competed here 12 months ago in Madrid at this World Cup event. Together they finished 4th in the Grand Prix on a score of 72%. Again, putting in a tremendous start here. thought the half passes were exceptionally fluent, really nice movement. And again, just maybe need a little bit more activity in those rainback steps. Ooh, just taking a little bit of a note of something on the side. Just now that's a shame because it'll have an impact on their extended trot mark, and inevitably because they're trying now to settle into a passage that the horse, something's just unsettled that rhythm, and I hope it returns pretty quickly because they'd started so very, very well. Actually, he's done a remarkable job there, has Jose, in bringing things back for the Piaf. I noticed he was just having a little look over to the side. He'll need to be prepared for that when he goes up that side of the arena in a few moments' time. Even in the walk, you can see how that tension hasn't quite left yet. It was certainly clear in the extended walk, and I think again there in the collected walk, you see that tension is taking over. Just a little interruption again in the Piaf. Again, just affecting them again as they head towards V&K throughout the extended canter. Something just creating a little bit of spookiness down on that side of the arena. Coming down this final centre line after what has been anything but easy. I have to say, I think Jose has done a tremendous job of just constantly reassuring Gladiador to make sure that he could get through this test, and despite all the issues that the little bit of spooking has caused to their score, I would expect them to come back in a much stronger place tomorrow. You inevitably see the disappointment in his face, Jose Antonio Garcia Mina there as he finishes off, but as I say, there's no predicting quite how things go when you get into an arena. You have to wait and see how it will unfold, and just also already been down there once, but just for whatever reason, just something catching the eye. Because I mean, it's a horse with a huge amount of talent. There's no question. We know how talented they are, and just today, once that tension had really crept in, and then the horse just sort of pushing back against him a little bit in those places, just creating those problems. The tension having such a big effect, as is always the case when it comes to your scores. Well, the score we haven't seen yet, so we're just waiting for that. There is still one more to go. And, so I wish we'll see Jose tomorrow in the freestyle, and I think again it could be a very, very different score. Here's the next, just getting ready to start. Here's the score. Yeah, today 63.413 for the Grand Prix test of Jose Antonio Garcia Mina with Gladiador de Lis. I'm sure there'll be more to come tomorrow. Well, we move our attention now to what is the last to go, Saratusa Darima Z IFCE. This 14-year-old gelding by Sandro hit out of a Voltaire mare. Finished in 16th place in the individual rankings at the Paris Olympics this year, part of the French team. And this is a horse and rider combination that have certainly performed exceptionally well on the world stage. Both have been together to the World Championships, the European Championships, and now the Olympics over these past 3 seasons. We last saw them on the World Cup circuit in Lyon, where they finished 3rd in the Grand Prix, 74.761. They repeated 3rd in the freestyle as well on the day after. In terms of their average in Grand Prix tests, they have an average of 71.3%, but they actually have a PB, which came in Lyon this year, of 74.76. I have a little bit of a soft spot for this combination in terms of the fact I have no personal connection. I just have been so impressed with the way this combination have each and every year over the last 3 or 4 years of me watching them, just every season just seem to find a new gear, somehow just lifting the quality of what they're able to produce. And every day is different. We've seen how easy it is to have something send your sort of ability to perform in a different direction on any given day, but I think already putting in a very strong start. I think that was slightly better to the left than it was to the right, and maybe just a little bit overbent. A lovely square halt though. Nice and smooth again through that transition out of the collected walk into the passage. Relaxing nicely into this test. She's doing a tremendous job. She also has a lot of elegance in the way that it's able to perform through all of the paces. Such a consistent performance as well. A tremendous understanding between horse and rider. Such a shame to see those little mistakes creeping into the one-time changes, and it's that moment that could probably will have an effect on the score. Certainly going to be a very close World Cup event here over these two competitions. I mean, what a great passage before that Piaf again. Now she can bring another big passage score here. I tell you what, she might have recovered it, because that is some final centre line. Brilliant from Pauline Basquin. Ceratissa Rima Z for France. What a combination they make. Though unfortunately, it was the mistakes in the one-time tempo changes, the tension just getting the better of them, that I think, you know, inevitably has had an impact on their score. And it was so nip and tuck with Carina Scholz's mark. It is going to come down to what the judges have said, but that was a beautiful final centre line with the transitions really smooth as well. I mean, it was such a nice test everywhere else. I'm hoping, because I mean, it was presented with a real harmony to the way that those two ride, and it brings out the best when it comes to those movements. I mean, there's so many highlights in what we've been able to see in that Passage and Piaf, as I say. Certainly part of it. I think they've done so well through the two-time changes. Again, we saw some lovely work earlier in the test as well, with the walk being very strong as well. So wait for those scores. Is it going to be enough? I mean, they had that new personal best in Lyon a few weeks back in their opening round of the season, and they've done it 73.9 98.109%. We have a winner. Save the best till last. Pauline Basquin and Seratoris de Rimazed has won the Grand Prix test here. 73.109. Congratulations to Pauline Basquin as France take the Grand Prix. Carina Scholz, Teratino was not far behind, and it really is, you can see, going to be a very close battle between the two of them tomorrow in the freestyle. Fie Christine Skarsoe, another superb performance in that very tight bunch with Alejandro Asencio and Juan Antonio Jimenez Cobo alongside Beatriz Ferrer-Salat. There's no doubt Jose Antonio Garcia is out of position today, really struggling there with his ride, but nevertheless, I mean, it's mouth-watering. What a battle we're going to get in that freestyle tomorrow. They will be giving their absolute all. Congratulations, Pauline Basquin, winner of the Grand Prix. We will prepare for the presentation of awards and take you through that here in Madrid in a moment.
FEMA Madrid Horse Week. A las 2 de la tarde dará comienzo el trofeo Rodilla, competición internacional de una estrella. Detrás el trofeo Ola de 5 estrellas, el trofeo Mutua madrileña, competición de 5 estrellas. Tendremos carreras de ponis, tendremos espectáculo y cerraremos el día de hoy a eso de las 10:30 de la noche con la prueba de las 6 barras, trofeo y FEMA Madrid. En un momento, la entrega de premios de esta competición de doma que acaba de celebrarse.
I think we're just about ready to bring you the presentation of awards live here in Madrid. With the conclusion of the FEI Dressage World Cup Grand Prix, we are set to welcome back our prize winners, joined in 8th place for their lap of honour by Diana Porsche and Douglas for Austria, scoring 67.783%. Congratulations. A long time ride, the 16-year-old by Johnson. Finishing in 7th place. Very well done to Brazil, to Randerson Silva de Oliveira and Fergoso Campelin. Finishing in 7th on 69.304. The Lusitana stallion there. So, the first of the riders from Spain represented in 6th place, Beatriz Ferrer-Salat and her beautiful elegance. In 4th place, the next two passers-by, also riding for Spain. Really impressed by this horse today, Carlota and Juan Antonio Jimenez Corbo, finishing in 4th, 70.413%. Well done for the riders 8th through to 4th, as we'll in a moment welcome our top 3.
Han sido los jinetes que han ocupado los puestos del 4º al 8º en el día de hoy en este Gran Premio. Mañana volverán a estar con nosotros en el Gran Premio de la Copa del Mundo. Vemos que el caballo de Juan Antonio Jimenez Cobo tiene algún problema.
And Alejandro Asencio Jimenez.
Esta vuelta, ahí le tenemos al jinete cordobés, cerrando esta fase inicial con los clasificados entre el 4º y el 8º. El caballo con alguna que otra duda. este Gran Premio.
Welcoming back our top three, led, of course, by the winner today. Very well done indeed to this combination for France. Pauline Basquin and Satorusa Darima Z. And second, from Germany, Carina Scholz and Tarantino. And in third, Fie Christine Skarsoe and Emperador dos Cedros. Like I say, I think it is going to be thrilling. The freestyle tomorrow. I wouldn't count Fie out either, but the nip and tuck nature of the performances in the Grand Prix today between our top two certainly highlighting that tomorrow is a class not to be missed. Live with you on FEI TV for that one, of course, and make sure you're here for the freestyle. Big afternoon of sport from 2:45 here in Madrid. But what a morning, what a start to Madrid. But it is France's day in Spain, no question here. 73.109%. It is the national anthem for France. What an amazing year it has been, from riding at their first Olympics, of course, the special moment, to be able to ride in Paris, to setting a new personal best when they performed in the Grand Prix in Lyon, to winning the Grand Prix here in Madrid. Pauline Basquin presented with that beautiful trophy there by Mr. Alberto Tom Gonzalez, Director General de Deportes de la Comunidad de Madrid. Joined for the presentation by the FEI representative, the president for the class, the judge from C, Miss Elizabeth McDura. And on behalf of the organising committee here at Madrid Horse Week, it is their president, Dr. Daniel Econtrales, who will also join us. Well done in second, Carina Scholz, as I say, joint top of the Western European League. Big day tomorrow for her, 13:05. Certainly trying to push for Basel and the World Cup final this year, making a concerted effort to get there. Finishing second in this Grand Prix test. Lovely to watch the combination there in third today. Fie Christine Skarsoe and Emperador dos Cedros, 70.609. So plenty to come from them in the freestyle. Well done. So the freestyle is where we will look tomorrow with you live on FEI TV. This is a double header, of course, with the FEI Dressage World Cup and the Longines FEI Jumping World Cup all taking place here in Madrid at this horse week. But now our focus will, of course, head to that World Cup freestyle tomorrow. It is Lamp of Honor time. I'll leave you. Enjoy. Congratulations again, Pauline Basquin and Saturis de Rima Z. Catch up for the freestyle tomorrow. Thank you for joining us on FEI TV.
Pauline Basquin, la ganadora del Gran Premio de la Comunidad de Madrid de Doma en IFEMA Madrid Week, vencedora por delante de Carina Scholz, la alemana, montando a Tarantino, y por delante de la amazona de Luxemburgo, Fie Christine Skarsoe con Emperador dos Cedros. Ahí está la ganadora, dándose una segunda vuelta de honor, está en el puesto 20 de la Liga Europea, quiere ganar posiciones mañana, lo va a intentar. Ese aplauso, por favor, de despedida para la vencedora de esta competición de dama, Francia, Pauline Basquin. Bueno, pues pasamos una de las primeras páginas de este IFEMA Madrid Week, cambiamos un poco el libro, dejamos la doma y vamos a la competición de saltos. A las 2 en punto dará comienzo el trofeo rodilla, competición del Internacional de una Estrella.